Hello everyone, Oregon Moto John. Just wanted to talk about a recent upgrade to the CRF 300L. Went with the Rally Raid Level 2 suspension, cartridges in the front, and shock in the rear. The YSS shock was actually holding up reasonably well, but I wanted to try the Level 2 shock. The bike does sit higher than stock, and I knew that. It says that in the instructions, or in the order form when you buy it. So actually I've gotten used to that. At first I thought maybe that was a mistake, but it seems to be fine now. I actually like the travel. I got it for somebody sprung up to, I think, around 185 pounds, because I'm right up in that area, and I know I like softer suspension rather than stiffer, and these are plenty stiff, so I'm glad I didn't go stiffer. I actually have my compression turned out all the way on both sides, or my preload turned all the way out on both sides, and my compression turned almost all the way out. I think I'm one click away from being all the way out, and then it's plush enough. I did get the adjustable preload here externally. I'm really glad when you guys suggested that, so that makes it easy to adjust, and it's, you know, pretty nice setup. The shock went in super easy, nothing to it. I have another video on the YSS shock install, and it goes in exactly the same. No difference, other than you just fish this, you know, reservoir through here and bolt this on. Take 2 screws out, give the ones they provided, and there's 2 brackets. You use the one that fits your bike, and you're good to go. So it went on fine. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't go with anything stiffer, because the idea was to make this more plush. I'm used to my KTM Husky bikes, which are very plush, to their credit, so I was trying to find something like that, and I'm close. It's not quite there, but it's so close, I'm okay with it. So the big question, did I gain much more over the YSS rear shock and the stock cartridges? Oh man, the bike rides higher, the geometry's a little better, but it was a lot of expense for the little bit I gained. The YSS rear shock is very close to the Rally Raid. This one's a little plusher in the rear, just a little bit, so you pick up a little bit, but it's almost twice, well, about a third more the cost. I mean, more additionally. The front forks, though, wow, you know, those cartridges are not cheap. I had Swick suspension installed for me here in McMinnville, and he was very reasonable to have that done, so I'm glad I had him do it rather than me try. I think it was under $200, and he had those cartridges in for me. So all that being said, you know, bike does handle better, holds up in the stroke better, rides a little higher, has lots of travel, a little bit plusher. I still would like to be maybe a tad plusher yet. I might try a different fork oil down the road, but in the front forks. But let's go for a ride. Go for a ride with me, and I'll show you, try to point out maybe pros and cons and those kinds of things as we ride. But so far, a little plusher suspension is the pro. It can take the big hits better too. Haven't had it on much single track yet, just because I've been on my KTM when I'm on the single track, KTM and Husky. But all that being said, it's a good upgrade. But if I were on a budget, if I were to do it again, knowing what I know now, would I redo it? That's a tough question. I think for the money, a little stiffer spring, YSS spring, or your manufacturer of your choice spring in the front forks, and the YSS rear shock, you got a lot of bang for your buck there. And the bike actually, that sorted it out really well. What I gained for the expense with this Rally Raid 2, would be a personal choice. If I were on a budget, it probably wouldn't be worth the extra expense. But in this case, I wanted to really try it so I could do a comparison on it for you guys. So I hope I'm not muddying the waters as far as trying to direct people who are trying to decide between the YSS rear shock and the and this other shock, the Rally Raid 2. And again, the Rally Raid 2, really nice product. I mean, look at what a nice top cap these have. Super nice, compression adjustable, or preload adjustable on both sides, and compression adjustable here. I think there's some rebound on the bottom of the fork. And just a nice rear shock. The rear shock is a bit plusher, more plush than the YSS shock, but the YSS shock, actually for the money, I was pretty happy with it. So let's go for a ride, and I'll try to point out how it does. And before I forget, here you see CRF level 2 shock. It means it's kind of a little taller ride height than stock. I think it takes up to the rally height. 85P, I think that's the spring, maybe the spring, you know, tension. You can see 85 there. But anyway, I don't know if that helps anybody, but just wanted to show what spring they had there, how I ordered it. And I got the one that was for the lowest level of, I guess you'd say spring tension, because I know myself well enough. I don't like suspension too firm. I just don't. I'd rather have it plush and then try to firm it up than the other way. Because most of the time, the smaller hits are what you're going to notice. And I should mention I'm around 190 pounds, probably 200 with gear, although that can be a little lower than that. Oh, another thing to mention is I did put with this level 2, you'll need this kickstand on. I got their longer kickstand. And it's just like the Honda one, it's just a little bit longer, so when your bike's on the side stand, it doesn't fall over. And it comes with a new spring, and I'll tell you what, that spring was something to get on. I wrestled that, but anyway, it did go on. It does go on nice, and it fits nice. It's easy to put on, but you'll need that. So didn't want to forget that. Now, if you went with the stock height suspension, then you wouldn't need to change out your kickstand. So just a few little points there.
This is when I stop now. I'm on my tippy toes, whereas before I was more on my forefoot. So the bike does get taller with the level 2. But if you're worried about that and you want to stay with the stock ride height, I would recommend going with the level 1. But I'm used to the level 2 now, and honestly, I don't even think about it. So if you do want the most travel that you can get out of it, then go with the level 2. And I think that makes it the same, if not very similar to the rally model as far as the travel. So I wasn't worried about that, so that's what I did. I mean, just leave it stock, but if I was stock suspension, but if you're going to do much on gravel roads with washboard, you have to at least do that rear shock. And the YSS one did get it done. I did have an oil seepage from the top cap of that when I pulled it off, but I can't tell you for sure if that was from just manufacturing, or if it was seeping. I'm just not sure, but it wasn't a lot of oil, so it could have just been from manufacturing, and then when you have it on the bike and you get dust on there and stuff and it sticks. So that was just something that I noticed when I was pulling the shock off. And this isn't along the shock part where it's leaking down the shock. It was more at the top cap up where it inserted into the top mount of the frame. It was kind of going down the back side of the shock. And again, I'm not completely convinced it wasn't just from manufacturing. And it was such a small amount that it wasn't like a big blowout of a seal or anything like that. Wow, this shock is doing nice on this. My wrists and hands are comfortable. I'm going over a lot of rocks and things. This is nice. And the other shock did it, but it just seemed like there's a little more vibration than I was used to with some of my other bikes, my KTM and Huskies. So this was a huge step in the right direction. Got some more rocks up here that we'll see how it does over those. Yeah, much more confidence inspiring though, just being held up in the stroke like that on these corners. I felt it on the pavement, but I think it feels better when you're off-road even, or just as good at least. Yeah, no, I'm not even feeling these rocks much. I mean, I can tell I'm going over a bumpy surface, but it isn't jarring at all. No, very nice. Wow, what a day. And this is pretty smooth here. I do like this little temperature gauge here. That radiator cap, I like being able to look down and see my temperature. I'm in the green, about 150 degrees. Which is what I'd expect. Cool day. I'm moving, I'm not on a trail. But it is still nice to look down and just know, rather than hope that your temperature is okay. What a day. Yeah, so here I can come into this corner and it's not bouncing around, compressing, not running too low in the stroke. There's a little, man, that smoothed that little dip out. Very nice. So it's handling the small rocks and the bigger dips very nicely. Oh yeah, I don't even feel those. Okay, so here's some good rocks. Try to show the suspension. Yeah, it's just working. Can you see that? You can see it handling that suspension down that stanchion tube. Yeah. That feels good. I must have got stuck there. There's some tracks off the road. Yeah, very happy with how this is feeling. Every once in a while, hit a bigger piece of gravel or rock and it just soaks it up, as well as some of the bigger dips. I can't wait to get this on single track. I'll definitely get this on some single track. We'll try it out. Okay, here's a good little, some loose rock here, bigger rocks. It's always a rougher section. Oh wow, feels good. Feels very good. I don't feel anything that is bad going up through my wrists or anything. Yeah, there's a big pothole and it just soaked it up. Didn't go through to my wrists. Wow, great. Good suspension. Front and rear are working. So I guess in summary, if you get this, you're gonna like that it does what it's supposed to do. And if you spend the money, it's going to do what you want it to do. It just is. But just don't get them too firm. Pro or a con, it could be. It's a pro to me because I'm kind of lazy sometimes when I'm riding. But having this better suspension definitely lets me sit down more. I mean, I just thought about it. I've been sitting most of this ride because the front and rear shocks are so good. Maybe on some of the bumpy stuff where it was bigger rock, I stood up, but I didn't have to. So that to me says a lot. If with the other suspension, I had to stand a lot, and that's probably a good thing. But I do like that I can sit, and I think I could ride longer and not be as tired and save the standing for when I really need it. So that's a pro, I think. Yeah, just be able to sit a little more, save your energy for when you need it. Okay, here's a little. Let's get this suspension to work a little bit. Here we go. Oh man, I don't even feel it compressing. Didn't even feel it. Okay, there's some single track. I'll do it. I can't help it. I'm up at Elk Flats on some of the trails there. I can't help myself. It's kind of muddy today, so I'm gonna have to get with it. And there's fall leaves. Oh, this is slicker than snot. Oh man, that suspension gets it done. That was really bumpy in roots. And this is slick with leaves and mud, all that stuff. Okay, here's a big root. Yep, that was slick. Bitch of roots, but luckily I think we're fine. Should have been standing on that one. Get the bike stood up. There we go. All right. Life is good. Whew. All right. It's a pretty good uphill here and muddy. Where I went wrong is I hit this last root, and I hit it here, and then I slid on this root. It's wet, but the bike's fine. I didn't break a lever or anything. All is good. Yeah. So that was good. I'm glad didn't damage anything, including myself. So, but suspension felt great. So strong pass on all that. We'll get on here and get going. Maybe on the corners, I can feel the front doesn't dive. It's holding up in the stroke, so the geometry feels better to me, maybe just fractionally. But you could fix that with a stiffer spring with the stock suspension. I have the stock YSS spring for the forks. I just didn't ever put it in because I wanted to try this rally raid suspension out. So other than maybe just holding up in the stroke a little more, very similar on pavement. So we'll hit gravel in a little bit. I'll hit that washboard that I like to go over, and I'll let you know how that feels. But it's a tough call. I mean, if you're going to ride the bike, keep it a long time. I can see we can make an argument for the rally raid suspension. It's a nice suspension. Nothing was junky about it. It was very nice. It installed nice. So I'm not displeased in any way. But you have to be using the bike where you need that suspension to really justify the cost, or keep the bike a while. If you're just going to ride it a little while and flip it, then to put that much expense into suspension, wouldn't make sense. I plan on keeping this bike a while. And so here I am in a corner. The front end's nice and high in the stroke. It's not compressed. The geometry feels nice. Plus, if you were braking or something before a corner, you don't have that loading and unloading. So here, let's say I was going up on this corner here. I'm going 60, it's marked 25, so I'm going to brake. And I get off the brakes. The suspension isn't unsettling and doing crazy stuff. It's predictable, and it does feel better on pavement because of its predictability, and because I feel like the geometry of the forks is in a more optimal place because it's not diving down into the stroke. It's staying up where it's supposed to be, and only if I brake hard does it start to compress, as opposed to always just riding lower in the stroke. But you could fix that with the spring and the OEM forks rather than doing the Rally Raid cartridges. So I hope this is making sense. Yeah, no, it feels good. I am happy with this. It makes me not want to ride it because I feel like I'm going to get my teeth rattled, but when I hit washboard. So now it holds up in the stroke. There's a plushness to it. But I did have to, when I first installed the suspension, I wanted to do a review, but it was so stiff, it didn't even feel like the forks were really working. And so I was like, you know what, let me play with the adjusters. So I did have to, like I was telling you, had to loosen up the compression and then the preload way out for the front forks to give me what I wanted. And the rear is the same, but this is a plush ride. I mean, this is a nice ride now. Usually a little washboard coming out of here. No, the forks are working. You can see when I brake, they go down in the stroke. Here's some washboard here. I'm maintaining traction all the way out. This is on an uphill, so the rear shock's even under compression. Man, no, it feels good. I am not taking any bumps that are rattling my teeth like before. I kind of felt like at times my teeth were getting rattled in my head. I know you all know what that's like. It can take a bike you like riding and make it not real enjoyable if you're getting your head rattled, or your wrists and elbows and shoulders if they're getting jarred too much. And then this Rally Raid Level 2 and the one Level 1, it puts a spring in both forks. So they say it doesn't matter to have a spring in one fork, but if you just think about the physics of it, I could see where it seems like that would be affect suspension. So there is a spring in each one of these forks now instead of just on one side. The stock setup has a spring in one side, and this system, oh, here's some good washboard. Yeah, no man, you can feel that fork is working in the front and the back. The rear shock's working. Yeah, it feels good. It handles that washboard great, and it compresses and then immediately, fairly rapidly keeps me up in the stroke. This is loose gravel. Feel very comfortable going through here. I don't think I'm going to do much single track today. It's been raining a lot up here. Oh yeah, here's some good washboard. This is a good test. No, it feels great. It's been raining a lot, and it'd just be a mud hole, which I'm not opposed to, but I don't have the time today to go up and do a 3-hour mud bog fest. If I were going to do that, I'd probably want to take my 2-stroke anyway, just because it's lighter and just does better with that. But we're going to give this a good test. Yeah, no, I'd say so far this is a strong pass. This is really loose. Really loose. Using the Tusk D-Sport twisty gravel, loose gravel that I like to go up. No, suspension's doing great. This is just super loose. On a little washboard, but you can see the fork just soaks it up now instead of wallowing. It's rebounding and compressing like a fork should on washboard, if that makes sense. Man, the car has got its tires stripped. You don't want to leave a car up here unattended. It's too bad, but yeah, it'll lose. Man, what a beautiful day. It's a great day to be alive up here. It's too bad you have to worry about that happening, but that car is parted out. A lot of washboard there. Feels good. A lot of washboard here. Man, those forks are doing it. But if you buy these and you install them, play around with the compression and preload, because without that one, in the middle setting that I had them on, like I think compression was in the middle and preload was in the middle, it was too stiff. So make sure you talk to Rally Raid when you're ordering them, and make sure they know that you want them. You'd rather have them too. Let them know what you want, if you want them stiff or a softer ride, because I would not want any firmer than this. And I actually fudged it a little. I said, even though I'm closer to 200, I said I was 190 at my upper end, and I'm so glad I didn't go with the stiffer springs. But I have lost some. It's a goat. I've lost some weight, and I'm losing a little more, so I'll be down to that weight before too long. I just didn't want to get stuck with stiff springs. Yeah, suspension feels good. Oh, this is nice packed gravel before it's all torn up, and it's like pavement. I love that. The loose stuff's fun, but this is honestly like like Pavement. A little uphill. No, the suspension's good. I'm not getting my teeth rattled anymore. But with the YSS, it did quite a good job. With the front forks, that was tolerable. It's a big bird, hawk. Yeah, I'm on my brakes coming into a corner, and the suspension compresses a little, but it still has plenty of travel to soak up extra bumps, while you're under braking. The other system was very soft. It compressed, and then if you started to hit bumps while you were on a downhill hitting washboard, it didn't. It could do it, but it didn't have a lot of extra travel to handle that. But I'd say the one thing is, and I know I'm repetitive, but I don't want somebody to make a mistake, is you got to make sure you don't get these too stiff, because I have a feeling that could be where some people go wrong. I can't imagine this having stiffer springs than what it has for me. But yeah, there's some washboard there, and it feels good. And the rear shock feels, to me, slightly plusher than the front. The rear is a very nice shock, very nice setup. And this is like my second time out on these. Will the suspension, break in a little bit? I think it does. It seems like suspension, as you ride it, it typically does seem like it works a little better as you ride. The Honda, it was a great bike. I enjoy riding it. Stock form, it does really well, other than that rear shock. So it's nice to have a bike that you can put some miles on. You don't have to worry about it. You just kind of ride it. If they could just put a little more into the suspension, I don't think it'd take that much. It would be even a better value. But then if you change that price point, then what? Then you're, I don't know. So I see where they're in kind of a dilemma of trying to keep the price down. And I guess I figure if people want to upgrade to suspension, they can. If I didn't do a lot of mainly gravel roads like this with potholes and everything, I'd probably just leave it. Oh, so what should I have done differently on that? I should have been standing up and on the throttle a little bit more instead of being on a seated, lazy position. So there's where sitting got me, but the suspension is so good. It was handling everything great. So, okay, the bike's running. Let's get out of here. Keep going on up the hill here. Okay, got this all straightened out. And life is good. Throttle's good, it's not sticking. And that's one thing about the suspension is typically when I'm in a situation where I'm off the bike, it's usually rutted, which brings the sides up to me, so it hasn't been an issue. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start standing up. Get some control back. No, the suspension soaks up these roots, these, smaller and bigger hits. Yeah, no, it feels good. Very, very good. Sorry. Had a piece of mud go in my mouth. No, the suspension is great. Wow. Okay, got it. I'd say it's single track certified. It feels good. Huh. Impressive. Very impressive. I'm very surprised. It's handling these big bumps, roots, rocks back there very well. And that whole, me getting hung up on that was just me being lazy. I needed to stand up. It's funny, I was just talking about that, and then it actually caused me to wreck. Yeah, no, feels good up here. And I'm hitting rocks. It's hard to see, but there's rocks stuck in the mud. Like here, if I slow down so you can see all these boulders. Going over these boulders and things, and it feels very plush, feels very good. I could actually ride this on single track quite a bit and be fine with that. And then dual sports are nice because you can come up to the pavement and off you go. Oh good, I don't think I bent my handlebars. That's good. Okay, well, there you have it. This thing held up fine. Suspension handled that very well. Not sure what's going on up here. Wow. I'm just a sucker for single track, I guess. I just saw that trail. I'm like, I gotta try it. I just have to. I think I did race modify my front brake just a hair. Not bad. Up here at Elk Flats, no one up here today. Let's try just a little. I'm not gonna catch big air or anything. I just want to see what it does over a jump here. Oh man, feels good. Wow, it's muddy up here. Oh, they moved out all that pavement. They had this pavement up here. Huh. Suspension is good. It's deceivingly good. Okay, so rally rate suspension. We've had it on pavement today. We've had it on a lot of gravel roads, potholes, and we did have it on a little bit of single track, and it felt good. Man, I'm tempted to do that one section again and stand, but you know, I've done that so many times and always been successful, so I don't know. Not like I need to do it. Oh man, that suspension feels great. I am happy with it. Yeah, hit potholes with it. Huh. Front and back feel great. Okay, so they get a thumbs up. And the cost, that's a personal decision. You'll have to all decide if that's worth it or not to you. And I did have a suspension person put it in, Kent Swick, here in McMinnville, Oregon, and he did a real nice job. And he's always reasonable. And then I didn't have to mess with doing it and wonder if I did something wrong or right. You hate to spend money on something and then wonder if you did it right. I'm sure you could. There's lots of instructional videos. I just haven't done a lot of suspension work, and sometimes it's just easier to let somebody else do it when you know they're competent. So that's what I did in this situation. Okay, well, thanks for riding along today. I hope this was helpful for somebody out there trying to decide what to do with the suspension. I know it's a hard choice. It's hard because the YSS does fine if you just do the rear, and if you do the rear with the front spring, it's adequate. But if you want a little more travel, if you're going to take it on some single track and do more aggressive riding, it probably makes sense to get something a little more robust. Or if you're going to keep the bike a long time, it really depends. In summary, I guess it depends on what you're going to do with it. If you're going to do mainly pavement and some gravel roads, YSS rear to start, and then you could go do a spring in the front, a little stiffer, and the OEM forks. If you really want to do something, want the maximum performance, cost is an issue, then definitely go the Rally Raid 2, level 1 or 2. 1 if you want stock height, and 2 if you want more the rally height, and go from there. And then just make sure you don't get it too stiff for what you're wanting to do. And also don't be afraid to play with the preload. I got the preload all the way out on the back of this. If I had luggage and things, it would be nice, I can tighten it up. Also the front, I can increase the compression and preload. So don't be afraid to play with that, because I think I mentioned, when I first got the suspension, I was just leaving it at the it was set up in the mid-range of a lot of things, which is fine, but it was just too stiff. I was initially very disappointed and thought I had made a big mistake with the front forks. The rear felt good because I took it to as plush as it would go with the preload all the way out when I bought it. But the front, I started with the mid clickers in the middle, and it just seemed a little rigid. But so don't be afraid to play with your preload, turn that out, and the compression, and then keep track and tune it in for what you want. Okay, I hope this is useful. Keep riding. Life is good. Riding's always a blast. So keep riding. And I look forward to seeing you guys, talking to you guys again in next video. Stay tuned, and more upgrades, more motorcycle maintenance. Sometimes I do some gear reviews, sometimes a maintenance, do something for maintenance, so stay tuned. And thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys. This is a lot of fun riding and then taking you all along for the ride. A beautiful day. And I going back to the suspension, this is contributing to the enjoyment on this bike, having it just ride a little nicer. I do like that a lot. I'm braking hard into the corner here, and I don't feel the forks just mashing down. More the way it should have come from the factory, I suppose, but I understand where Honda's coming from. If you start upgrading everything on the bike, pretty soon the bike costs another $3,000 or more. Yeah, here's gravel, and this is just soaking it up. You can feel the forks working like forks should. Before, they were just a little soft and wallowy. Yeah, I'm just continuing to think about this suspension as I'm riding, and for me it was worth it, because I am going to ride this bike a while and keep it a while, so I'm I'm glad I did it. I'm really glad I did it. People come up here to look for mushrooms this time of year. It hasn't frozen yet, so there's a lot of that going on. I think that's pretty interesting, but I'm just worried if I went and looked for mushrooms, I'd probably know just enough to get myself killed or something. And but they are up here. I don't know a lot about them, so if you're going to do that, you really need to know what you're doing, because you can get the wrong thing. I think they can kill you, or some of them can be very toxic, and some are fine to eat. There's lots that are, but you need once in a while somebody who even knows about them makes a mistake and can have trouble. So anyway, I'm not advising that you try to eat mushrooms. I mean, hunt mushrooms unless you really know what you're doing. Seems like I am meeting people up here today, so I'm just being a little more cautious. Oh, there you go. Here comes another car. That's why it's good to be careful. I do think people are hunting mushrooms today. It's the thing, if you got a motorcycle and you want to ride, we don't want to hunt mushrooms, we want to ride. Not that there's anything wrong if that's what you like to do. This is just fun. Yeah, these are soaking up all the chatter from the gravel roads. Very nice. And I can brake a little later and it doesn't upset the bike so much. There's a pothole. It didn't jar my wrists. Feels good. Yeah, just helps me ride the bike a little more like it was intended, like you want to. You can ride a little more aggressively without fear of it coming unsettled. But if you're riding around town, would you need to upgrade that suspension? I sure wouldn't. If you're doing pavement and stuff like that, there'd be no need at all. So don't think it's something you have to do. Definitely don't need to. This beautiful view right there. What a day. Little washboard, don't even feel it. Huh. Very good. I used to have to dodge the washboard. Now it's just like, yeah, let the bike run through it. Yeah, that's some good chatter there, and it felt good. This upgrade is, it used to be sometimes if I was going to do gravel roads or a little single track, I kind of always thought, oh man, that suspension is going to make it a little more challenging to ride this bike. And now I feel like the suspension could handle whatever I need to throw at it, and I don't mind riding it because of the suspension. And I hope that makes sense. With the YSS rear shock, it did everything but intense single track well. And now I've actually felt very good on single track today, and the only reason I fell over was going up a hill where I hit a big root and I wasn't standing and wasn't paying attention. Okay, there was a big pothole and it felt good. But anyway, so it did well on the single track. So now, other than the weight, this bike did really well. So that's kind of my summary in a nutshell. Pros would be handling, plushness, adjustability. The biggest con is expense, and then just keep in mind, level 1 will keep you at stock ride height. Level 2 will give you rally ride height with maximum travel, and that's what I have as the level 2, and I really like it. I'm glad I did it. At first I was worried it was going to be too tall, but you know what, I don't even think about it anymore. But if you're using this to drive around town, you're on and off the bike a lot, I'd probably think of it a little more. But typically the way I ride, I get on the bike and I ride it. Unless I fall off, I'm not getting off the bike. This bike up with some luggage or go two up, and which I don't know why I'd want to go two up very often on this, but mainly luggage. Oh, there's a big chunk of pothole, felt good. Then you need some adjustability, like what this has. This would work well for that, because you could soften up the suspension when you're riding light, like I am today. But if you needed to go heavier, you could just firm that suspension up. So that is a pro that I haven't mentioned, but that is a huge pro. This bike up with some luggage or go two up, and which I don't know why I'd want to go two up very often on this, but mainly luggage. Oh, there's a big chunk of pothole, felt good. Then you need some adjustability, like what this has. This would work well for that, because you could soften up the suspension when you're riding light, like I am today. But if you needed to go heavier, you could just firm that suspension up. So that is a pro that I haven't mentioned, but that is a huge pro. Typically I find that there's a point where I end up slowing down because the front forks were undersprung, and to keep control, I found myself modifying my riding speed because of the suspension. And today I'm just riding. I'm not thinking about my speed anymore. I'm just riding, which is great, because that's what you want. You want to ride your bike and not have to worry about speed and, oh man, this bike's coming unsettled, I better slow down. And not that I need to ride fast, but I just want the bike to do what it's supposed to do and ride it, and I don't want to have to modify my speed and other things, braking, because the suspension is not doing its job. So today I just realized I'm not thinking about my speed. I'm riding fast when I want to ride fast, slow when I want to ride slower, and that shows the suspension's doing its job, because it just lets me ride. That's ultimately what all of us want to do, is just go out, get on a bike and ride. I think this is the last sunny day that we're going to have here for a long time, so I just couldn't let this day get away without a little ride, even if it was a short one. You know how it is. We can all ride, but we can all ride in the rain, but it's a lot more pleasurable when it's not pouring rain. I can take a little bit of a little rain and deal with it, but if it's torrential rain the whole time, that can be a little discouraging if it's a longer ride. Maybe that's what makes a bike special too, is you get to enjoy it when the weather's good. I think I need to go this way. I've been up here in this general area for a while. Wait a minute though, maybe I could go this way. Saw a cougar up here once in this area. Man, the suspension is just so plush. I'm just just focus on riding today. Yeah, it was right here. Came into him in this clearing. He ran off into those trees. Nothing today. This has just been a pleasant ride. Thanks for coming along with me, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Getting a little riding in. A good time of year to get your maintenance done. Air cleaners, or air filter, oil changes, chain sprockets, tires. Good time to do all that stuff. So when the better weather hits, you're ready to go. That's what I do anyway. And then if you do have a good day, you get out and ride, see how some of your little modifications did. Like, man, like the suspension, the more I ride it, actually, it feels like it's just getting, honestly, better. That's great. I like having this bigger fuel tank. I don't have to worry about fuel anymore. 3.6 gallons. I can just ride and ride and ride. The 2 gallon never let me down, but with this bigger fuel tank, I just never even think about fuel anymore. Turning underneath this canopy of evergreen trees. Really nice. Wow, there's a great view. There's enough haze. There's some mountains over there, but you can't see them because they're just a little too much haze. Interesting. Still a nice view. And I know you all know what I'm talking about, but going out and riding, it just does something for you. Getting out in nature, no matter where you go, it's just fun. Here I am braking on a downhill again, washboard, and it feels very comfortable. Okay, I think I need to go this way. Well, if not, I'll backtrack. I got enough fuel. See, that's what's nice when you got plenty of gas. You don't have to be like, uh-oh, don't want to run out of fuel. You can just ride. I'm getting around 68 to 70 miles per gallon on this. 65 would be about as low as I ever get. So really impressive fuel economy on this bike. I've done better than that, but that was nursing the throttle on a lot of pavement. So not real realistic. I think I got like 72 plus miles per gallon. But somebody picking mushrooms to me. Hiking down the hillside. Lots of moss down there. So what's interesting about when you come up here, you never quite know what you're gonna find. Sometimes you can tell what people are doing, and sometimes you can't. And it's better just to keep moving, if you know what I mean. Oh, there was some kind of a carcass there. Kind of curious. Probably hunting, maybe? Let's see what we got. Oh boy. Oh boy, yeah. That's, what liver, intestines, maybe lungs, back there in the distance. Yeah. Wow. Okay, well let's keep moving. I don't think it's been there for a long, long time because some animal will eat that. Yeah, look like liver, small intestines. I don't know. Anatomy's pretty cool. We all have it. It's just on the inside, silently doing its work. Pretty amazing. Always been amazed with the complexity of the human body that we don't have more trouble than we do. It's a pretty resilient system. Creation. It's like behind a power truck here. And I figure if they want to pull over, they will. I don't need to be a jerk about it, so I just kind of hang out back here, and if they pull over, most of the time, if you're not a jerk, they'll pull over for you. Once in a while, they don't. I think I'm getting ready to come out. Yeah, I'm getting ready to come out on pavement. I do like having a GPS up here because it can just help you get oriented, so you're not just wondering where you're at. Oh, see, they're pulling over. That's cool. See, if you're not a jerk about it, they usually will pull over for you. And we want to, get along up here and not have people hate motorcycles. I mean, I feel like people, how we ride up here, most people have good reputations with motorcycles. We're nice to each other. We treat each other with respect. But if I would have just railed by him and honked and, told him he was number one, then pretty soon you start to get some of that back at you, right? People aren't going to pull over, and maybe they start gating more things off than already are gated off. I swear these feel more plush the more I ride them. Maybe it's pumping that oil all over and breaking in the bushings and things. I'm not sure, but these are, yeah, I may even have to tighten up my compression a little now. I can feel they're starting to get more floaty and a little more plush the more I ride. So that's cool. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to review after my first ride. That first ride out, nothing adjusted. It was like, ooh, this is a little stiff. Yeah, these are, oh wow, these are definitely more plush now. I can tell I'll probably be stiffening them up just a hair. But yeah, GPS for a dual sport bike can be good. Because then if you're in a situation where you need fuel, you can make a decision about if you need to turn around or if you can keep going. I've done that before when I didn't have an oversized tank, to where it was like, okay, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and you zoom out, you can kind of see, get a feel for where you're at, with your GPS, and then sometimes you're close to a fuel station or something, you can keep going. Other times, you better turn around. That's the best thing about a dual sport. I did pavement today, gravel roads, a little bit of single track, back to some pavement, and then I believe here in a moment I'll be coming back out on some pavement, and then I'll take a few more gravel roads and I'll go home. So it's nice you can do that. Here we are hitting some pavement, just like that. There's some moss on it, wet pavement with moss. It can be slick, so always be aware of your riding surfaces when you're riding, especially when it's wet. Wet wood can be super slick. Just cruising along. Some beautiful fall colors. Wow. Reds, yellows, browns. A little bit of everything. But these Tusk D-Sports feel good on pavement, and they'd actually felt good on the single track. They're new, but yeah, I mean, for a cheap do-it-all tire, they're actually they're guys. I mean, I actually forget I'm on a more of a knobby-based tire when I'm on these things.